and I had this epiphany and I was like, I need to get into music. Like, this is kind of the only thing that I love. The question was, have you been starstruck before at work? And I definitely have. It doesn't really compare to any other festival in my eyes. It's just like, it's got this whole like aura about it that's just so different to anywhere else that I've ever been.
Hello and welcome to FairPlay, the Fair's new show exploring journeys through the magical medium of music.
Guests are asked to choose 5 songs which define their journey through life in the industry. Whether it be a song from their first concert, the first act they ever booked, a guilty pleasure, and so many more.
I'm Nicky D.
And I'm Will.
For those who don't know, the Fair are an independent festival production company based in London but producing events across the UK, in Europe, the US, the Metaverse and beyond.
We've created this show as we are keen to amplify a range of voices from across the industry. Whether it be from DJs to promoters, production staff to agents, we've been speaking to people from all across the festival sites.
We've attached a track list in the description below. Take a look and leave a comment.
Good afternoon, good evening, welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks, George. So today we've got the wonderful Millie Watts from Defected Records. She works in A&R. She's just got the new role. We're very excited to hear about all this, but also we just want to know, how are you today? How did you get
I'm really
here?
good, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm honoured to be here. It's like quite weird that I've been asked to come on something like this. So yeah, thank you.
Well, we're super honoured to have you here, and thank you very much for joining us. So as we said, you work for Defected Records, and that's pretty much a new role, and you work in A&R. For the sort of listeners and viewers out there who may or may not know what A&R is, can you just tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. So A&R stands for Artists and Repertoire, and you're basically responsible for kind of finding the artists, finding the songs, signing the artists, and then you're kind of like the middleman between the record label and the artist.
Got you.
So you kind of coordinate things, make sure they're happy, make sure we're happy on our side. And yeah, it's great because I get to go out a lot and meet cool people.
So that's what I was going to say, like, so when you're finding them, like, are you just sitting behind the screen, or are you like going out just playing, like, where is the talent? And then they come flooding to you?
I mean, it's a bit of both, obviously, or on your laptop, you're looking at different platforms like SoundCloud, Bandcamp, kind of all over. But yeah, it's really important to go out and see things live and meet people as well, face to face, because I think that really makes a difference rather than just being like some A&R person behind the computer, kind of like
just an email signature.
Exactly.
So I mean, that sounds like a fantastic career, and it's something that obviously you've worked very hard to get into. For our sort of listeners and viewers out there who are maybe looking to get into those sorts of roles, could you give them any tips on how to do that and how you got into it yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I didn't come from a musical background. I played like instruments when I was younger, but that's kind of where it stops. Also DJ'd since I was like 15, but kind of recreationally, like bit of a bedroom DJ, bit of a house party DJ. I went to Leeds and I did philosophy. So yeah, completely unrelated. And to be honest, like I didn't think I'd ever be able to get into the industry, even though it was my passion. It was kind of the only thing that I really loved. Then I helped my mate set up this festival. And yeah, just from there, I was kind of at the festival at the time and I had this epiphany and I was like, I need to get into music. Like this is kind of the only thing that I love. And then from there, just kind of pestered every man and his dog to get me into places, and then luckily got an interview at Defected, and kind of the rest is history. But I guess my advice is, even if you feel like you're annoying to people and you keep emailing them, just keep going, because they're gonna give in eventually, and just it'll be easier for you to come in than them just to keep saying no or keep ignoring you. Keep your ear to the ground, go out, meet people, introduce yourself. I think that's really important, and yeah, just kind of get yourself out there.
Just keep banging down those doors.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking about meeting people, an artist that you'd most like to meet would be the lovely Erykah Badu.
It would be, yeah.
And that's going to be your sort of first track, which is called Fall in Love, Your Funeral. Why Erykah Badu? Why do we want to meet her?
Why Erykah Badu? Well, this is a really hard question because there's so many people I want to meet, but Erykah Badu kind of stuck out to me because she's an artist that I've listened to for years. Kind of everything about her just oozes coolness, and she just seems like a really sound woman.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to like go hang out and I don't know, just do some like sound healing or some stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, just chill with her and yeah, see kind of how she operates, because she's on. It's quite a
cool... on a different level.
She's on a different vibe, different frequency, and I want to like see that.
I think like when you say like she's cool and she's on a different frequency, for someone like Erykah Badu, like you look at all of her stuff and it's so diverse and all over the place, but also every single piece is amazing.
Exactly that. Yeah, she's worked with so many amazing artists like The Roots, obviously Andre 3000. She was on a Bonobo record. Yeah, as you said, she kind of like can do anything with like whilst keeping that kind of consistent sound and quality.
And do you think she was born with that, or she was, you know, sort of knocking people's doors down and trying to get to them, or she was just like this ethereal being that just came and just like, yes, I'm here, let's go?
I think it's got to be a bit of both.
Yeah.
I think she must be born with that. I don't think that's something you can cultivate that easily.
Yeah.
Just by trying. I don't know. I think she's born with it.
Well, let's hear a bit more from her. So this is Erykah Badu, Fall in Love, Your Funeral. Okay, so that was Erykah Badu, Fall in Love, Your Funeral. So that was a wicked track, really
you.
chilled, and I definitely agree, is an iconic lady. So now we're going to move on to everyone's favourite. I love that deep intake of breath. Okay, guilty pleasure time.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to let everyone else out there know who it's going to be?
Yes, definitely. This is definitely my guilty pleasure of all time, and it's Blue All Rise. I've been obsessed with this forever. Like, I just love Blue. I love Duncan James. I love them all. I went and saw them when I was about 12 or something like that, and I met Duncan and gave him a little kiss on the cheek, and have been thinking about it ever since, to be honest.
That is available on Millie's Instagram if you do want to have a look. To scroll all the way down to the bottom and you'll see that beautiful moment.
Do not do that. But yeah, there is evidence at the bottom of my Instagram somewhere. But yeah, no, I just love all the tunes from the noughties. You can't not. They just feel good.
I just love it whenever we say guilty pleasures, like no one can give you eye contact. They're like, say,
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. So I actually really like Blue, and I'm in the festival. Like, it's great. It's cool.
Yeah.
So if you were to give even more knowledge about the guilty pleasures, so if you imagine like you're going to a festival, it's a noughties festival. You've got Blue on stage. It's happening. Duncan's there, giving it the air punches and all that sort of stuff. Are there any other bands that maybe in that sort of guilty pleasure lineup that you'd like to share with us? We're just going all in. Why
Okay. Atomic Kitten.
Excellent.
Sugar Babes. I love how they've made this revival of recent times. I saw them at Glastonbury last year and it just popped off. So good. And then so good that I saw them last year as well, somewhere in London.
Yeah.
They're just great.
But I think we see like so much of this resurgence of old artists, they just dip their toe back and they're like, we're still here if anyone's interested.
Exactly. And I am definitely interested. So yeah.
Great. So so the next festival is going to be Blue. We're going to have Atomic Kitten, and then we're going to finish with Sugar Babes.
That's it.
Fantastic.
Dream lineup.
Brilliant. So this one is, as Millie said, it's Blue All Rise. Okay, so that was the wonderful Blue All Rise, and we were talking about being starstruck while that was playing, and there was a few sort of artists and incredible people that you spoke about that have come into Defected Records. Do you want to share?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, the question was, have you been starstruck before at work? And I definitely have. So I didn't actually meet him firsthand, but there was no one in the office. I think everyone was working from home, probably like me and a few others. And Idris Elba was walking through the door, and I was literally like, wow, this is like, is he going to say hi? Like, shall I say hi? And I just kind of like was down at my laptop just ignoring him because I didn't know what else to do. So that was one thing. And yeah, Liam Payne came in one time and I was slightly starstruck then, but yeah, not as starstruck as Idris, that's for sure.
I mean, he is just like a juggernaut, isn't he?
He is.
Absolutely incredible guy. So speaking of being sort of starstruck by people, your seminal track from your first headliner is Mika. Grace Kelly. Which festival was this at, and why is it such an incredible memory for you?
So I went to my first festival in 2007, I think it was, and it was Glastonbury. So I'm from Somerset and I grew up down the road. So going to Glastonbury is like something that everyone does, and if you're not there, then you're having the worst week of your entire life, because it's literally you hear it, it's on the TV, you can't get away from it. So yeah, anyway, so I went when I was must have been about 9, and my parents took me on the Sunday, and yeah, I saw Mika, who was my favourite artist of all time at the time, still kind of is. Yeah, so I remember seeing him and he performed Grace Kelly, and I was just like, my little 9-year-old mind just went absolutely nuts. And yeah, it was definitely something that I like has stuck with me for sure. And that day especially, like the amount of artists that we saw was amazing. Like I saw Dame Shirley Bassey,
of course she did,
as well, and she did an encore for Diamonds Are Forever, and that was pretty special. And I think Kaiser Chiefs played as well that year. So yeah, it was a good first experience of a festival.
So 9 years old, and your parents, and was it just a day visit? Did you stay?
It was just a day visit. Right. So like festivals aren't my parents' thing at all. So that was the one and only time I went with my parents. But yeah, it was definitely something that stuck with me for sure. So
you say that your parents weren't sort of festival goers. Was it just because it was the thing you have to do in Somerset, and they're like, right, let's take it?
Yeah, just not their thing. Don't like the mud. Don't like they love music, but just not for them. So I had to wait again till I was like 12 or 13 when I could go with my mates to go again. But yeah, it was special.
How long were you there with your mates? Do you get to sort of camp and stay there and sort of?
Yeah. No, I'm there for the 5 days. I'm not leaving once I'm there. That's for sure.
It's not negotiable.
No showers, no nothing. I don't need it.
It's happening. Drop me off there and I'll see you at the end.
Exactly.
Wicked. So this is a track by Mika and this is Grace Kelly. So that was Mika, Grace Kelly. We were talking about some of your experiences during Glastonbury. I think it would be great to share that with the listeners. I think the one that stuck out for me was how you watched some of the artists and maybe the level of mud in that.
Yes, being on my dad's shoulders, listening to Ruby, just having it, as in my 9-year-old little state. And I mean, some of my best times have been at Glastonbury, for sure. I've been, quite a few times now, and there's just something really special about it. And I don't want to sound that really annoying person who's been to Glastonbury and says how great it is.
Do it.
However, it doesn't really compare to any other festival in my eyes. It's just it's got this whole aura about it that's just so different to anywhere else that I've ever been.
Is it the music? Is it the scene? Is it the stuff that you can do on the outside? Is it the food? Is it the drink?
I think it's just the all-encompassing kind of, everything you've just mentioned basically. But obviously the music first and foremost is just so diverse, and it's just like a city. I've literally covered probably about 20% of the whole festival, I would imagine. It's massive. You can't see it all because it's just impossible.
Sounds like there's almost that sort of carefree attitude, and you are just sort of going around not thinking about anything. So one of your other tracks was Chasing Status, Take Me Away. And that was in your sort of younger era.
Yes.
But I say younger, I mean, we're talking about you going to Glastonbury at 9, so this is probably in your older era.
Yeah, this is when I was 10, actually.
This was the year after.
There were so many songs I could have picked for this one, being carefree and stuff, but this one sticks out to me. It's a tune that all of my friends from Somerset listen to. It reminds me kind of Somerset, of growing up, of getting into kind of dance music and stuff. And I was and still am extremely into drum and bass, and I think drum and bass is an entry to a lot of people into dance music. Actually, I just love it. I just think it's the most kind of freeing, very nostalgic. And so this tune in particular I remember very vividly. So I genuinely was probably about 10 going on the bus to school, and for some reason my older sister's songs had sunk to my iPod. And I kind of just that classic. And I just came across it, and I'd never heard anything like it before, and I was just kind of and with my Beats headphones on, this is cool. I like this.
Everything kind of started to slow down.
Staring out the window, just thinking I was in a film kind of vibe. But this song in particular just really sticks out for me, and every time I hear it, I just want to, lose myself, I guess.
Well, let's take them away with Take Me Away by Chasing Status. So this final track is a track that pays homage to an act that is no longer with us. So do you want to tell us a bit more about this track and why this person was so special to you and in your career and life in general?
So this is a hard one because obviously there are a lot of late and great artists. But one that sticks out for me is the great J Dilla. Everything about his production style, his sampling is just completely genius. And sadly, he's kind of only been recognised for his genius once he passed.
After the fact,
I just love him. I also love his brother Illa J, who is still with us and he's still producing music. And he kind of pays homage to his brother a lot, and you see similarities in their kind of styles, and it's really beautiful. And this track is just one of my favorites, and it features also the great D'Angelo, and it's called So Far To Go.
Wonderful. Let's listen to it now. So that was J Dilla, So Far To Go. So a real sort of revolutionising guy in the music industry. And obviously the fact that you said his brother is still sort of echoing that is fantastic. So if we can go, we'd love to hear much more about your sort of role. Could you tell the listeners about, sort of typical day in the role and what you're sort of doing?
Sure. So a typical day kind of, it's quite impossible to say because it does completely vary every day. I have a few constants throughout the week. So on Tuesday we have a meeting called Pump and Dump.
Excellent.
So we pump tunes and I either get rid or put
Love
them
that.
forward.
Do you all hold up cards, or is it just like there's a buzzer?
There's buzzers,
Stop it. There's buzzers. Oh, I love that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so we have that, and we all kind of sit in a room and just listen to what everyone else has brought in and kind of say what we think about it. That's probably the one constant that I have. But yeah, no, every day's different because artists have always got different needs, and I've only worked on probably a handful of releases up until this point, but every one of them's been so different. Yeah. And there's no like rule for them, so you've just got to learn as you go along and kind of build your intuition around what people want and the release and stuff. But yeah, a lot of it is just kind of like meeting people, so I spend a lot of time doing that. It's ever changing. I never really know what to expect when I go into work, which is great. Yeah,
and it sounds like with your love of music, the fact that is now your job and that's what you're doing every day obviously just makes your heart sing. You're just like, yes, thank God, let's go for it.
It does. It's great.
And then you were sort of talking about it earlier, sort of like being starstruck with people like Idris Elba and all these incredible artists coming in, sort of touching on imposter syndrome, and that's something that you said that you'd like to discuss in the podcast today.
100%. Like, I think imposter syndrome is something that absolutely everyone has experienced in any industry, but I think maybe in particular the music industry, because it is a fairly subjective kind of place, you're constantly doubting your opinion and maybe your skill set, and you can listen or give weight to people's opinions kind of more than you probably should and be swayed in that way. And I think it's very normal to feel imposter syndrome, and I think it should be spoken about more and kind of talked through, because I think as soon as you speak about it with someone, they're like, oh my God, yeah, I feel the exact same. And you don't feel so alone with it. And it's definitely got better as I've got more experience and stuff, but it still kind of comes in every now and then. And I think that's also normal. It doesn't matter how senior you get or how experienced you get, you're always going to have a slight little niggling doubt in the back of your mind. And yeah, I just want to kind of speak about it and normalize it and just let everyone know that absolutely everyone is feeling the same way.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, it is a really important topic to bring up. So thank you for sort of bringing it to the podcast. And so I think, obviously, the more we talk about these things, the more people just sort of realise that everyone's just kind of going through the same thing. And as you say, if we do talk about it, it will just hopefully move away. Within your role, would you say that it's more meeting the artists, or it is picking the sort of different tracks that you want to put into the pump and dump situation? How does it affect you in your sort of day to day?
So it's a bit of both. I work on both the label side at Defected, which is kind of mainly signing songs rather than artists, even if you might want to have longevity with that artist, but you're primarily going to sign their songs. But also the publishing company, which is an area of the music industry that not many people know about.
Can you tell us?
Sure. It's quite complicated, so I'll try and simplify it. But basically, the record label owns the master recording of the sound, so the physical sound of it, and then the publishing company will own all of the melodies, chords, kind of the written composition, if you like, of the track. So if anything gets sampled by an artist, they always have to come to both sides of the fence. But if they're going to re-sing something, it's no longer the master recording, so the record label doesn't have to be informed, but the publishing company does.
Got you.
It's a bit intricate and stuff, but it's so basically on the publishing company, we have loads of people signed to us for kind of 3 years or so, and it's more developmental, and you've kind of got a bit of a plot and a plan about what you want to do with them and what they want to do with their career. Whereas sometimes on the record side, it can be fleeting moments, and I think that's something that is definitely prominent now in today's industry, because people are chasing for that hit, for that TikTok kind of moment in time, and not really thinking about a follow-up or kind of where it's going to go afterwards.
Just that one banger, and it's just like, oh, okay,
exactly. And then you move on, and that's something that I see all the time, and I don't think it's a great way to kind of operate.
Well, I mean, I don't think it would be something that Erykah would do.
No, she wouldn't do that.
She's got a plan. She's got a forward plan, past, future, present. So thank you for letting us know about the publishing. I think now it kind of makes sense in our brains. Is there, with the sort of elements that people sample, are you finding that it's more like the melodies or the beats? And is there any particular artists that you're working with that have been sampled more than others?
It can literally be anything. I think sampling something that's a bit of a myth, and people can find anything within the most obscure of songs.
Right, okay.
So in that respect, I don't think I can really answer one or the other. I guess lyrics are probably the most, because obviously they're the most recognizable thing in the track. So yeah, that's probably the most common thing. So with the artists that I'm working with at the moment, so I'm working with a great artist called Wheel Up. He's kind of from that West London broken beat scene, which is quite a niche scene that kind of was quite popular back in kind of the noughties. But it's making a bit of a resurgence, I'd say. And yeah, he's a really great artist, and we got kind of some stuff coming from him, which is really exciting. Him and Afronaut, who is a legend of the broken beat scene. We have got also a T Williams EP on the way. So T Williams has also been around for a long time, kind of came up through the UK funky scene and had a huge hit with Heartbeat featuring Terry Walker, I think in 2010. And yeah, he is a producer that I admire so much because he literally makes everything and isn't put in this box. And he's just recently released an album which is Raves of Future Past, not with us but with someone else, and it's like all dance music, all really like kind of old school underground kind of vibes. And now he's a few months later just releasing like this really beautiful, soulful, like kind of slightly broken EP with us. And yeah, who knows what he can do. He literally can go anywhere and do anything, so I'm really excited to be working with him. And
what are your sort of top is it tips is the right word, or what to look out for, and what's coming up, and what's going to be the next sort of big thing that we're going to see on the music scene?
Wow, that's a question. Do you know what? I think drum and bass is making its way to the radio and stuff. Nia Archives has done bits for the scene. I think just dance music in general is just really kind of popular at the moment, and it's great because it's kind of historically been pretty underground and pretty kind of headsy, if you like, but now it's making its way up, and young people are listening to all sorts of kind of types of music, and I don't think they discriminate with the use of TikTok. It's kind of everything's on there. So whereas back in the day you're kind of known for being in a certain scene and you kind of had to stick to your lane, nowadays kids are listening to absolutely everything, and I think it's great.
So with your mystical dance music ball, when you're watching this back, maybe 5 years time, and you're like, there's an artist that I've sort of got that I'm going to suggest for these pump and dump sessions that I'm going to put forward, who I think is going to be amazing on that dance music scene.
Wow.
No pressure.
Okay. I've been working recently with this guy called Don Surf from Leeds. He's called Charlie, and he's the most talented producer. He's so good at what he does, and I think there's big things for him to come in the future. So if you don't know who Charlie is, look up Don Surf on Instagram or whatever else. So
we want to get to know a bit more about your festival experience, and obviously we've spoken about Glastonbury and how that's close to your heart and it is like the one. Are there any others in there that you sort of like tick the box that you'd like
There's
to share?
definitely others in there for sure. I mean, obviously Glastonbury's Glastonbury, but there are a plethora of like insane festivals, and I've only just scratched the surface really. Houghton was pretty eye-opening. I mean, the 24-hour music's quite something to experience. The first time I've ever experienced anything like that, the constantness of it, which was enjoyable. Lost Village, I thought the production was insane there. Beautiful place.
What was it about the production that was sort of caught your eye and made you go...
So it's set in like kind of in a forest, and they've got just loads of like silly stuff just about like that you can play with, like cars that you can go into and sit in. And I think that's the key to a festival, is having just, as I said, silly things that you would never do in normal life. I think people love just to experience stupidness for a few days and kind of just have a laugh and
just
be
that raw escape, isn't it?
Exactly, and kind of like not be yourself, but in the best way possible. Like you're in fairyland, and that's what I love about festivals.
Let's all go to fairyland.
Yeah.
Well, also thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Really enjoyed having you, getting to know you, learning more about the music production and sort of labels and all those sort of different things, and obviously your guilty pleasures as well. But thanks again for tuning in with us today, and we will see you next time. A huge thanks for tuning into FairPlay today. We hope you've enjoyed hearing tales from across the festival site.
Subscribe to the Fairs channel and follow our socials for more content.
See you next time.
Bye.